Welcome to another beautiful Wednesday, and it's all about a new chapter. We are here again to look at a lot of things. We'll have beautiful discussions, and as we all know, it is also a Fugu Day in Ghana. So if you are not a Ghanaian, you can still join. Buy your smoke from any of the markets around you, and every Wednesday, for you to feel like a Ghanaian, just rock it and join the family. So welcome once again to the new chapter, and this is where we look at most of the beautiful topics. And today we continue, as I promised the other day, that I'll be bringing my host back. Mr. Yao Amu is here with us once again to give us another lecture. As we had the other day, it wasn't a discussion, it was a lecture, because we have to really know what is going on as Ghanaians and who we are as Ghanaians, and as we are rediscovering everything and identifying with our heritage and our pride. So today, he is with us again. Mr. Divine Amu, you are welcome.
Thank you very much. I'm grateful to be here this time.
We are also happy to have you back in the studio.
My initial comment that, yes, the Heritage Month is not over, but it is my belief that as we move forward as a nation, we'll move away from just a month of heritage and do it all year round, so that it will be everyday heritage of the African, for that matter, the Ghanaian.
All right, thank you. So as you heard him, it's supposed to be every day. So every day you have to wake up as a Ghanaian, not only in the month of March, but when you wake up every day, you have to remember that you are a Ghanaian. All right, thank you so much. So the other day we had beautiful insight conversation, and one that I took away and I've been thinking about is where a different person from a different country has to come and write our story or our history for us, where they tagged our beautiful palm nut soup as
blood.
as blood.
Yes.
Eating is it pounded yam or whatsoever?
Pounded yam and cassava with blood.
And
Yes.
I was thinking about that so much. It's like, how blood? It's so disgusting, but we thank God that you've been able to give us more insight with regards to that. So thank you so much. Today we'll talk about a few things. Today we are focusing on culture, pride, and modern Ghana. So our culture, our pride, and how we are handling that in our day-to-day life as Ghanaians in the 21st century. So to start with, I would like to ask, how can we preserve our tradition whilst embracing modern innovation? How can we preserve the tradition that we have as Ghanaians or perhaps Africans, even as we embrace modern innovation?
Okay, so that's an excellent question. I believe strongly that in understanding this, we must go back to the definition of culture, which includes the tradition of the people. Perhaps we want to even substitute tradition for culture. And in the frame of defining what culture is, E.B. Tyler explained that culture is the total way of life of people that determines their existence and make them unique from other group of people. And so as Ghanaians, our understanding is that we have a unique way of life. And as I said, total way of life. And so it means our language, our food, the way we dress, good news. You just mentioned the Fugu Day. As I said, the food we eat, our philosophies, our customs, our imagination, our religion, virtually everything about us determines our culture. And as people, that makes us unique from other group of people. Okay. And the very day you lose touch of this, then automatically you lose touch of yourself. Exactly. And you are going to live in the stead of other group of people. You are going to live in the shade of other group of people. Unfortunately, because it is not indigenous to you, it is not native to you, you are not likely to get it to the perfect stage. Okay. And therefore you are likely to live in between what you lost and what you have acquired. Okay. It is the reason E.B. Tyler believes strongly that any unique group of people must hold on to their culture in a phase of acculturation or invading culture, which is, of course, very necessary because culture is not static, very dynamic. You expect that even as the days unfold, as the new ways of life appear on board, you are expected to also embrace them in order to make that dynamism in your own culture. But that's not to say that you remove yours. So as Ghanaians, we have unique ways of life. And these very unique ways would define exactly who we are to the rest of the world. That will actually show us as a unique group of people from other group of people. The reason you see Chinese, they come to Ghana, they import or export Chinese culture with them. And so Ghanaians have their own beautiful culture that show exactly who they are, and by extension, the Africans. And so it is very important we keep these traditions, even though we are expected to acculturate, or if you like, to accept some new ways of doing things. The centrality of our existence or of our uniqueness definitely will hold on to the traditions of our culture. And that is very important that we cannot throw them away in the face of invading cultures.
Okay, so to speak to that, the way we exchange greetings in Ghana, you realize that it's different from the West.
Yes.
So the West, they meet each other, good morning, be gone.
Yes.
But in Ghana, a typical every person, when you meet Indi, Apiome, you ask about almost everybody in the household. But today you realize that we, the young ones, we don't have time. To us, we don't have time to go through all those back and forth kind of conversation when we are exchanging pleasantries. What do you have to say about that? Should we just keep on with a good morning or hi and go, or we should still remain, or we should still keep with what our forefathers started with, which in one way or the other shows kind of care from me to you. So when I meet you in the morning, or probably any time in the day, or for a while, I've not seen you for a while, we have that back and forth way of greeting each other.
So you look at the situation here, we are likely to preach the concept of Ubuntu and Sankofa. These are African philosophies that we must re-embrace. Look, Sankofa is an Akan philosophy which is accepted by Africans today in terms of philosophical grounding. Sankofa simply means that you get back to pick things that are positive of your life, that for some time or for one or two reasons or circumstances you abandon. But then you realize the absence in your life begin to affect your development. And you strongly believe that going back to them will mean your rejuvenation. So then it is important that we look at that. And we also look at the second philosophy or theory, which is Ubuntu, a Swahili Bantu philosophy, gladly accepted by the Africans, which simply means that you are because we are, and we are because you are. That shows completely the communal nature of the African. So the African is not individualistic. The African is communal in nature, which presupposes that it is about the whole community. It is about the whole society. Africans don't speak the language of I am. It is about all of us. The reason, when you remember in our early days, and when you are molded or trained to fit into the social setting, you are not only trained by your parents, it is done by the whole community. Everybody. So you do something wrong, or you offend the society in terms of norms and customs, you don't expect your parents to be there to shape you. That will be done by, of course, the whole society, an elderly person. And the case is that you don't even come home reporting, because that will give you another opportunity for you to be shaped by your parents. So yes, that's a very typical example you want to look at. So Africa is communal. It is a reason when we are greeting, we don't look at the individual that we are greeting as a person. We are looking at the individual as a community. We are looking at the individual as a family. We are looking at the individual as a clan. We are looking at the individual as a society. That shows who we are. It brings about the love. It brings about the concept of the Ubuntu. That I am because of all of you. And you are because of all of us. So we greet, we ask of our grandparents, we ask of your nephews, we ask of virtually the community. And that is exactly what the African is. And as a result of that, it brings that unity. It also gives the understanding that, of course, these people are one. And people begin to get the inspiration and the motivation that they are not alone in this life. They belong not only to their family class, their clan class, but the total society or the community. And that we have lost touch of. Today, it is very difficult for people to defend you, to come to your aid, to support you when the need arises, because then we've lost touch of all this communal life that we have as people. So I believe strongly that yes, greeting is not limited to the individuals directly involved, but it is about everybody. And it is a good thing. We need to go back to that. As I said, the relevance of it is that it makes you feel you belong to the community. It makes you feel that you are not alone. It makes you feel that you are with the people. It makes you feel that your development or the otherwise are dependent on the people, or is dependent on the whole society or the people. So it's a good thing we have to go back to. Sankofa theory must come in here. The greeting must not be limited to the individuals directly.
So now talking about Sankofa, those days growing up, we grew up in a family setting, most especially the extended kind of family setting. Then later on, we realized that there is something called the nuclear family and all that, which is coming from the West again, because they practice the nuclear family more than the extended family. But in Ghana, most young people are beginning to shift their attention from the extended family to focusing on the nuclear family. What do you have to say to that? Should we continue to focus on the nuclear family, or we should bring in a balance, or we should go back to focusing on the extended family kind of approach?
So you look at this, and these are based on concept of ecosystem. And as I said the other day, culture evolves within ecosystem, which we call the cultural heritage tone. Now, the African does not belong to that ecosystem where the culture of the people is individualistic. The African belongs to a system, not also communism, so to speak. The African belongs to a whole system called communalism. Do you understand? And so if you understand these ideas, then you realize that the formation of the community, even though basically starts from the first unit, which is the family, it does not end there. It is a kind of a process that must extend to its conclusion. And the conclusion is that even from your parent to your family to your clan, it must extend to the last stage, which is the community in general. Do you understand? And so I think strongly that the first unit of the family of the family, which is the parent siblings, is not the echo culture of the Ghanaians. And we cannot end it there. It is very important you appreciate that, yes, this is my father, this is my mother, and this is my immediate brother, and this is my immediate sister. But beyond that, you must also appreciate that these very parents that you are talking about come from other people. They form the core of your existence. And eventually, when you extend it, it is about the whole society. There is a reason why the African, because this is what we are, communal. We belong to the whole society. And so when you begin to think about first unit of the family, which is the nuclear family, and your approach to life is basically limited to that, there will be a time in the African concept, in the Ghanaian concept, where the need arises, you will not have the support.
Okay.
You will not have the acknowledgement. You will not have the protection.
Okay.
You will not have the spiritual strength. Virtually, you lose everything when the immediate family is gone.
Okay.
So, for instance, you are a son schooling and you will limit yourself to the first unit of family with your parents, and perhaps you don't even have siblings. And even if you have, you are the eldest.
Yeah.
The fact is that immediately these people are gone through any condition or circumstance. The unfortunate thing is that you are likely to face challenges and difficulties in life. And so you cannot undermine the impact of colonial presence. You cannot undermine the impact of the West presence or the European presence in our life for well over 500, 600 years. You cannot undermine that. You cannot also undermine the concept of globalization, which is affecting everybody today. Okay, that is why from the outset I said that culture is not static, it's dynamic.
Yeah.
But the centrality of your culture you cannot throw away. Whilst you adopt new ways of doing things, I strongly believe that, of course, the young ones cannot say that because we have adopted the European ways of life, we have adopted new ways of doing things, and we will throw away the centrality of our existence as people. Okay. So the issue of nuclear family, yes, but it is not in the DNA of the traditional African society. And for that, we need to get back, because the significance of being part of a whole community rather than just part of a first family is enormous.
All right.
Yes.
So as an African studies lecturer, you've been in this for a while now. You've had a few experiences. Can we say that young Ghanaians are proud of their cultural identity? Are we proud of who we are as Ghanaians? Or in one way or the other, we want to just do away with what we are as Ghanaians and focus on other things? Are we proud? Young, not. I know the old people. For instance, my grandfather. Anytime you visit him, he wants you he wants to take you back to the olden days, the things that they may do. Well, for instance, when you enter the house, you are going to greet my grandfather. When you open the gate, the first thing you have to say is "Ago." If you don't say "Ago" and you enter, he will ask you to go back. And you have to say that "Ago." Now, when you come in with your bag, you don't greet him. You have to go and put your bag in the room. Probably get yourself water, or someone who is already there before you came must serve you with water. You must drink, relax before you greet him. Then he is going to take you through the old way of greeting. You do that, shake one another. Then he will ask you the money. Then you tell him. Then he will also give you the megbe money, like that. Are we, the young ones, also ready to take that one up, or we feel like it's something that we just have to do away with it?
So, Prince, fact is that I cannot clearly or convincingly say that we are proud of our culture today. I must be very sincere with that. And that's the brutal or the naked truth, that the Ghanaians are not proud of who they are today. And we don't have to blame them that much. That is why there is a need for rediscovery. There is a need for awareness creation. There is a need for education as to why we must be who we are. Because, as I said earlier, you cannot be in the stead of another person and claim to be that person. There is no two ways about it. You become a second-class human being. That's all about it. But the fact is, we have had this European cultural imposition for some time now. Not only European culture, we've been Europeanized and we have also been Arabanized. So we've been Arabanized, we've been Europeanized, and all these invading cultures have affected the true personality of the African, or for that matter, the Ghanaian. And so you look at and these things are embedded in the idea of religion. Okay. So religion is used as a face mask, and then behind it, culture is imposed on the people. Okay. So you, with the Muslims, if you are practicing the Islamic religion, automatically you must be Arabized. See, you are thinking through the Arabian culture. So your way of looking at things will be in the lenses of Arabian culture. Okay. The same way, if you are a Christian, you will be Europeanized. And so your way of doing things will be that of European. And so we demonize. It was very intentional. It was deliberate that the Europeans as well as the Arabians, none of them is good, to be very sincere. Not all of them are demons in different colors. That's what the whole thing is. So because they demonized the Africanness in us, and remove our existence as people, and create the impression that we are still not near humans, and therefore it is their responsibility to make us human enough. So then in the concept of the Europeans, they say the African is the white man's burden. Wow. It is the white man's responsibility to civilize the African, to be seen in a way of the humanity we are speaking about. And so look, this is it. We are not proud, but it is not also a conscious effort by the African to get to that stage. But for over 400, sometimes in some cases over 1,000 years of the presence of these invading cultures that try to demonize the African culture, right? Yeah. I'm saying so because we are even looking at the Western Sudanese empires, where the issue or the concept of Islamic Arabization will come from, which affects part of the African population as well as the Ghanaian population. Later on, the presence of the Europeans through Christian culture, then European culture imposed on us, to the extent that when you go during the colonial period, we saw the policy of assimilation and assimilado by the French and the Portuguese respectively in their colonies. That's to deculture the African and culture them in a way that they will be seen to be human enough. And so, yes, it is not completely our fault, but the current generation are also faced with the challenge of, beyond all these existing, if you like, challenge, you realize that globalization has come to add to the troubles of the African new generation. And so they are at a level where they are completely confused, because for a very long time, the African itself, through the last 5, 6, 7 generations, were detached from who they are. Yeah. You understand? And so that gap is there. And in the course of renewing that very position of the African, for that matter, the Ghanaian, what we realize is that new form of imposing external culture on Africa through technology has also come to muddy the water. And so this is the situation. But we must also begin to appreciate that all these things are not helping us. Because, you see, a culture society is not built in a century. It's not built in 500 years' time. It's not built in 1,000 years' time. It is something that is for a very long period that stay with them. So in order to remove it, it is not also easy. Again, if there is any invading culture that affects the culture of the people, depending on the number of years that this impacted the people, it takes almost the same period to reverse it. Sure. That is why I'm saying that sometimes you don't give the younger generation so much of the trouble. The trouble you give them now is for them to see the light in what we were before these invading cultures. And the essence, the quintessence, the imperatives, the essence of these existence before the new ones, and see whether we can develop within the balance of the old and the new. And for us, we strongly believe, and I'm clear in my mind, that the new ways of things are not helping us. The only way out is to re-embrace our old ways of life and draw the balance between that and how the new way of life will affect same, so we are able to develop.
All right. So if you just joined us, this is the new chapter show, and we are discussing about Ghana because we are in the Heritage Month. And what we are looking at is who we are as Ghanaians, and we are rediscovering our Ghanaian identity. So if you just joined us, just continue to enjoy the conversation. Put your comments in the comment section. Also, don't forget to subscribe and put us on post notification. All right. So talking about going back, recently I think West Philadelphia, one of their high schools, they had a trip to Ghana recently. I think they left somewhere last week, and I was following them on the socials. They visited most of the iconic places in Ghana. They visited the Cape Coast Castle and some other places. You realize that when they were being told the stories, most of them were weeping. They took some of them to a particular river, I don't know, where...
that should be Asin
Manso.
Yeah.
And they told them those were the final places that they gathered the slaves before they marched them to the castles, and through that they put them on the ships to the various places that they've been taking them to. You realize that they reconnected themselves to the African how will I say it, the African culture, and they now understood the pain and the struggles that the forefathers had to go through before they could get to the other side. And it was so touching. And when they were leaving, you can see in their eyes and their faces that they feel like they are now leaving home to a different land. When they came down here, they found home. They saw all the beautiful things in Ghana. Some of them even attest to the fact that they thought we were still living in trees and all those things. So I think it's a good thing that we have to do. That we have to, those of us in Ghana, we still have to go back to these historical places, get our identity right, and leave that perception of that what is African is not of good quality, or it's not good, that we have to borrow someone's way of life to be able to feel important. Then you spoke about the globalization. What can we do as Africans to gain that global identity? I know there are a few things going on. Lately, when you watch the internet, most people are saying that, I visited Ghana. Ghana is good. Ghana is this. Ghana is that, and all that. So what else can we do to put ourselves there and give us the global identity that we deserve?
So there is this concept of glocalization, and so glocalization, that's it. You leave your local.
Please break the word for us.
Glocalization. It is mostly used by the business world, but it can also be applied in many fields. The simple idea is that things that you do in your local corner should have that native, indigenous element, and if you like, authenticity, but it must also meet the global standard. That is the concept of globalization. And so, as I said, it is basically by Ivy League business school concept, but I am applying it in a more or less a cultural anthropology class here. So we agree that yes, the African must live in a global world. We cannot pretend to build Berlin Wall around ourselves, or if you like, the Benin Wall that I so much cherish, the Benin Wall, which predated that of the Sino-China Wall and all of that, and pretend that others do not exist. We can survive. Africa, for that matter, Ghana cannot be an island. God, in his infinite wisdom, or the creator, the ultimate reality, in his infinite wisdom, has given every society, every land, some kind of endowment for interdependency. So as it stands today, we are getting closer and closer for purpose of comparative advantage, for interdependency, for the development of the world.
Okay.
So the underdevelopment of any part of the world is the underdevelopment of every part of the world. That is the reason.
Can you say that again?
The underdevelopment of any part of the world is the underdevelopment of every part of the world. Every part of the world.
Okay.
You see, that's the reason when America will say, okay, come for this grant, IMF loan and all of that. Yes, even though they don't want you to develop, they realize if you don't also develop, it goes against their own development.
All right.
That's all about it. And so far is that we need to prepare ourselves in a way that is unique about us.
Okay.
There's no two ways about it. In the creation of the world, whatever force is behind that has infinite wisdom in saying that people should be here, people should be here, people should be here for different purposes. We cannot.
Place.
Is the reason all of us cannot speak the same language. Yes, for global communication, we may tend to learn other languages, but you cannot take your language away from yourself.
Not at all.
That identity is very important. So you see, look at the Chinese.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping wouldn't go to UN summit and speak English or French. He will speak Chinese. And everybody knows that for the Chinese. The Chinese will write instruction on items they produce
in
Chinese and translate same in English or other languages.
Whoa.
And that shows the Chinese-ness of the very item they produce. That shows the authenticity of who the Chinese are. That they are not living in the shed of the English, the Americans, French, Germans, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And that gives them that respect. And so the Chinese is acting for the development of China in the eye of the world.
Yeah.
So that China can also sit at the table of men and negotiate, not because things are imposed on them.
Okay.
So your identity first is very important.
Okay.
The food we eat, I said it earlier, it is very important that we project what we eat. So everybody knows that when you are eating banku, they know you are from Ghana.
Exactly.
When you are eating TZ, they know you are from Ghana. When you are eating fufu, they know you are from Ghana. You see, there are some food people eat, if you don't take time, you want to vomit, but that is their food.
That's their food.
And sometimes today they impose it on us.
Of course.
Pizza, shawarma. Anytime I take these foods, I'll vomit. So I won't take them.
Even we have Chinese restaurants in Ghana now.
I'm telling you.
And all over the world.
Exactly, because they don't want to come here and turn themselves into fufu eating. That's the naked truth. And so, look, Prince, fact is that our language, our food, these are basic to our survival. Our way of dressing.
Exactly.
So look at what is happening. And you know, in doing so, it showcases exactly who you are. And your identity comes to the fore.
Okay.
You see? So people want to be like you. They dress in your way. People want to speak Chi, Epe. They want to learn and speak same.
And they are learning.
And they are learning it. And we are made to believe that in global validation, we must speak English. Yes, it is good because it's the commonest language. Okay. You must learn to speak French. Yes, you are able to communicate with a French. But are you able to communicate with your brother in your home? You see? That's the problem. Yeah. So we must sell who we are first. That is the local level or native level. Okay. Then in order to interact with others at the larger stage, then we tend to learn things that can enable us to work with others in the world. Okay. So we must prepare ourselves in our own ways of life that is appreciated by the world. So you put on kente, everybody knows that this is a Ghanaian. Yeah. You put on fugu, everybody knows that this is a Ghanaian. Exactly. So a day that I'm traveling to Ghana and to be associated and identify with the people, which is very important, I must put on kente, I must put on fugu. Yeah. By so doing, you are developing. You are not only not developing symbolically, but economically. Sure. Because somebody is coming to buy something. Yeah. Somebody must do something for. So productivity, exchange of, look, all these things are very important. So if you, for instance, continue to live in coats We don't produce coat here. We don't have the design here. We may deceive ourselves, but that's not ours. The designs are not ours.
Yeah.
And so, we want the best of it, and so you send for coat or suit or jacket from UK. Kevin Klein and all of that. I don't even wear them, and so I don't even know the names. And so Collins and Co. And where are you sending the money to? How do you develop?
Yeah.
Prince.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
these are the questions we have to ask ourselves.
Okay.
Yes.
So I think what we have to do as Ghanaians is to become more intentional about our innovations and our talents, and make sure we push them out there into the global market, even as we consume them here. The other day, I was having a conversation with someone, and the person asked that when they say Ghana on the global front, what comes to mind first? And I said cocoa. And the person said, yes, that is right. Now, when we say maybe Korea or North Korea or South Korea, what comes into mind first? Then we are talking about electronics. When you say America, then we are talking about the tech giants and all that. But the problem with that of Ghana is that cocoa is not a finished product. Cocoa is a raw material. We now send it out there for someone to rework on it and bring back to us in the form of the chocolate, the Milo, and all the things that we consume. So don't you think it is because we are not trying to export finished products, being it our language, being it our dressing, being it the food that we eat? For instance, fufu. If someone wants to consume fufu in America, I know there are people who export cassava and other things to that market, but on what scale and how is it being projected out there for people to really patronize it? Unlike the shawarma and the rice and the pizza that today, when you go around Ghana, pizza man, chicken man is everywhere. We have this one, the chicken, KFC. It's all over the place. Why are we not able to, as Ghanaians, also put our fufu, our akple, our TZ and the moto? Why are we not able to do that in the global market?
So, fact is that we need to accept the wrongs of yesterday.
Okay.
Not because we intentionally created these wrongs. There are mixtures of issues that will create the wrongs for us.
Okay.
But we cannot absolve ourselves from the creation of the wrongs.
Okay.
Because at least for Ghana, per se, we are about 70 years after the removal of the colonial presence. And if we want to be intentional about our life, we should be almost getting there.
Okay.
But we are not there. Even things are getting worse. So as I said,
we are not getting better.
We are not getting better at all. Because you look at the current generation and look at this. Why some of us are believing that there must be a creation, that platform where we can develop a native lingua franca. Our new generation are even slanging the English more than the Americans, more than the Anglo-Saxons themselves, even though they don't know the location of Kotoka International Airport where they have to leave their passport.
This has to go to the Gen
so, yes, of course, I'm talking to them indirectly. And so I think strongly that today when you are speaking your native language, somebody wants to look at you as a rural being.
But I'm not cutting you. Those days in high school, when you are speaking the local language, they call it vernacular.
And so,
but
let us be very frank with ourselves. That's idiocy at its peak, at its apogee, and some of us, we are coming strongly for that.
Okay.
And Minister of Education, this should be a kind of a pre-invitation. We expect that we'll be invited on these things. Okay. And especially GES, Ghana Education Service, they should stop. We should stop the nonsense as people. We should stop the silly life as people. You see, these things were imposed on us by the colonialists, the imperialists. And so those days, only one TV station. And so first thing you see in the morning, before independence, I say, This is London. Oh, my beautiful London, my heaven London. When will I be in heaven London? And this is it. So implanted, yes, implanted in your mind that London is only a place where you can be a human. You see, we've gone past that after independence. Even though we are still attached to the apron strings of the colonial economy, I believe culturally we should be doing something better than what we have now. It will be suicidal for any nation to say that I am stupid to speak my native language, where you can conceptualize even abstract thoughts, right, from infancy. And a kid in basic school is insulting himself, demonizing himself for speaking his native language, L1, mother tongue. And we continue to experience same in our institutions today. Sometimes I feel I need to apologize as a trained professional teacher. We couldn't have, of course, in the schools that I taught before leaving for university, look, I've never allowed for that.
Okay.
I challenged my headmaster on this, and no wonder my African studies philosophy, I'm not sure I'll be good in any other studies more than African studies. And so I think it's a high time we began the process of decolonizing ourselves, including our educational system. And GES must take it. Director, I'm calling on director that GES must stop it wherever it is happening. They must stop it.
Okay.
It's a high level of idiocy for you to have a placard to say that speaking my native language, indigenous language, and you claim it to be vernacular, and that I am a fool to do so. Sometimes that's what you see on the placard. It cannot be the case.
Sometimes they even hang
snail shells on. Yes, yes. And you are punished. You are punished severely for speaking your native language. It cannot be the case. It can never be the case. I think we must move away from that. You must reset and rediscover the African personality. In the words of Kwame Nkrumah himself, of course, it is very important that if we don't go back to these things, yes, we will be hanging in the balance. We'll not find our feet at the left. We'll not find our feet at the right.
Okay,
yes.
So I think before we can get to the global front, we need to, they say in my L1,
charity begins from home. I agree with you. Yes. That is why I'm saying that we should set up. We should reset ourselves.
All right.
You see, I'm borrowing this administration's language of reset. The reset goes beyond just NDC and PEP. Reset is a word that is very important for us.
Everybody.
At this point in our life,
we
are resetting ourselves culturally. That's the most important thing. That's the first thing. Behavioral. That's very important. First thing we should do. And so I think our culture should be rethought. The education on it, the awareness creation should be actually emphasized in virtually everything we do daily. And we should accept the fact that this is who we are. God has not created us to be Anglo-Saxons. He has not created us to be Hungaro-Germanic. He has not created us to be Hispanic. We are not to be Caucasians. We are Africans. We are Ghanaians. And that's what God has seen best in us. And so we need to repackage ourselves. Virtually everything, as we said, yes, you are diving into economic life of Ghanaians and looking at cocoa and all of that. Yes, we cannot remain to be at the same place forever. All the conversation here this evening is about our cultural existence. And I laid the foundation from the beginning that our culture is dynamic. Culture is very much dynamic. But the dynamism also does not mean that you should be completely acculturated. You should completely throw away your existing fiber, the oxygen of your culture, and take on somebody's, because that somebody's one you are taking, you cannot live in it perfectly. That is why we need to repackage ourselves. Even in repackaging, our presence should smell in the repackaging.
So with the repackaging, I think the last tournament that the Black Star they participated in,
Qatar.
they went in the Fugu.
Yes.
And there were a lot of people making all kinds of arguments. Some were saying that it's a waste of money and other things. And I think when they were going to Cote d'Ivoire also, they used the kente. And those who are into the business side of life were saying that it's a good sign of us showcasing the beautiful things that we have when it comes to outfits as Ghanaians to the world. So somebody could just love it, and just as we also fell in love with the suits and the ties and the shoes and those things, someone could see our hinima and the cloth and just feel like, okay, I want to be dressed like that. I think recently I saw one American preacher beautifully dressed in kaftan. And it was so good on him. So I think it's one way that we are trying to push and make sure that we get our things out there, both on the economic front and also trying to register our identity in the minds and the hearts of people. So I think we are doing this, but we'll have to improve upon it.
Sure.
The more.
Sure.
Now you were speaking about we working on ourselves as people. What exactly can we do to shift that mindset? Because one way that we can do that is to reorient ourselves. In what way can we do that? As me, as Prince, what can I start doing individually? What can you start doing individually as Foyao? That we can put our forces together. Because we've been talking about it, Ghanaians, we have to change. We have to do this. How can we cause that change to come?
See, so I think the change must come in various fronts.
Okay.
Right? It's not just one front. Education, everybody will speak to education. Yeah. Of course, is the base to give information. And this information always will come from the pot of education.
Yeah.
But beyond education, we have politics. Okay. We have economics. We have religion. And all of these put together will create the society we want to. Right. So in order to change these, or in order to rediscover ourselves and reset ourselves, it should come from various fronts. Education, very important. Yeah. Of course, in our schools, we are supposed to teach who we are. And one of the best things that the previous administration did, of course, it has been an effort from the birth of this nation. Okay. But for some time, we lost touch of history. And I think one of the things that the previous administration did in the development of the new curriculum was the reintroduction of history. Except that there are challenges with the curriculum in one way or the other. People have their own intention. But history is the base of the existence of any society. Any society that does not appreciate the events of their yesterday will not be able to balance their today and will be unable to shape their tomorrow. That's what history is all about. And so we need to, from the very early stage of our life, we need to imbibe in ourselves how our society lived in many years yesterday and what affected the lives of our society yesterday and why we are living a particular kind of life today and why the need for us to get back to the original stage of our life in order to shape our tomorrow. Yeah. These are very important and must be done through education. And the education should not always be at the classroom. Classroom is just a facet of it. In actual fact, charity, as you said, begins from home. And so in the process of enculturation or socialization by our parents, they themselves must be socialized. Exactly. They must be taught the way of the people in order to also transfer same to the new generation. You understand? Yes. And so I expect that the education should not be limited to the classroom. It should be carried at every corner, at every front, including the religious spaces. The church. The church must agree that we've gone past that orthodox blanket I must be very careful not to use, but then we must move away from the European way of teaching the religion. You understand? It got to a point in time, Tata Ephraim
Exactly.
was excommunicated in the Presbyterian Church for preaching in Kente.
Exactly.
You understand?
I read that story.
I must tell you that EP, Command and Global, at one point in time, there were accusations left and right that people were introducing Bobobo, Adebu,
I think that's during Professor
Jobo's time.
Yeah.
But today, we are playing that Debu in the church.
We played Zibo.
Everything.
Sunday, my church, we played Zibo.
How do you talk to the people bringing English, a German language, and living in a German culture, expecting them to get closer to God? It cannot be. Even though we have our own God, that is another topic altogether. But even as I said, the church is very important in this case. They must leave everything out of the European concept of teaching the religion. No, it cannot help us.
Exactly.
Yes. Look, so the church is there. At the economic front, what are our strengths and what must we do in addition to what we have? What are the means of driving the economic front of the people? Must the theories or the paradigms be generated natively or locally, indigenously? Yes, that is very important, because your life is within a very system, and that system has its own peculiar approach. And so if you continue to use external approach to attack a problem within a very ecosystem, you are likely not to. And for all these years, we've not achieved anything with these things. Why won't us go back and improve on our original ways of life? Of course. And that can also be a paragon of measure for other societies. The societies we see today, various theories we are using, various ways of doing things we are using, are not coming from one singular society.
Not at all.
Japans will develop something. The Koreans will develop something. The British will develop something. Americans will develop something. Eventually, all of this will become global standard. So why is it not that the African, the Ghanaian cannot develop something that will become a global standard? That's very important. We want to look at. See, so psychologically, we are made to believe, Prince, that we are inferior. So anything you do, you would have to get a validation or a stamp of yes from somebody outside your jurisdiction before you are able to at least say that I've done this thing. You see? So that's the difficulty we are faced with. We must believe that we also have the potential. Other than that, we wouldn't produce a person like Kofi Annan, a de facto president of the world. I must say that the biggest global umbrella is UNO, United Nations Organization. And the Secretary General invariably is a de facto ruler of the world. And if we can produce somebody like that, believe you me, if we can produce somebody like Alote in mathematics, my friend, if we can produce a person like Kwame Nkrumah, a whole political philosophy on his own that the world is measuring till today, I believe Africans can do it, and we have done it in many fields. I just don't want us to go back into history where we'll be looking at the pace setters of the world, and a common civilization will come in there, and all of that
actually help us. It will
yes,
help us.
It will have the time for that.
Sure.
We'll have a time for that, and we'll go into it, and so motivate ourselves that if you think the Africans have not contributed to the development of the world, you are lying to yourself. We have done that. That is why when you look at the restitution project that is happening in Africa today, you accept the fact that it was intentional by the Europeans to hide the high level intellectual and the intelligence of the Africans from the world, and claim that they never had the past or their history in the words of Hegel. So it will be that everything the African is doing is based on the conduit of the European or the lens of the European in Africa. So the African has done something because of the presence of the European. But good news today, we are bringing the Benin bronze, Asante Hini. You know what has happened? We brought some of the things from the UK museum some time ago. That's the project for restitution. So yes, I agree with you. that there is a need for us. There is the need for us to package ourselves in a way that we set the standard. That standard can be copied by others. Chinese standard is copied by others today. American standard is copied by others today. Arabian standards are copied by others today. Why not Ghanaian standard copied by others? Yeah. The Fugu issue just yesterday with the reef with the Zambians, all of a sudden you are in America and somebody is wearing Fugu. I saw people in Caribbean island wearing Fugu to show the authenticity of the African, the identity of the Ghanaian. You see, that's what it means. So today, anywhere you go, you put on Fugu, somebody wants to say that you are identifying yourself with Ghanaians. Yeah. And that is very much important. Yeah. It's just that the jackets we buy from them. So I think we need to, at our level, reconstruct ourselves in a way that we identify ourselves with, and the world will identify us, and then, of course, we'll move on. But that will be balanced with the global tenets.
Whoa, those were very beautiful insights you've given us. That all too soon our time is fast spent, and we'll have to draw the curtains here. But I would like to take your final words for us, all of us, before we go. So, what are your final words to us as Ghanaians and Africans?
So, I strongly believe that we definitely, as people, Ghana, by extension Africa, will be there. We definitely will rediscover ourselves and then create that African personality that is unique before the global eyes, that will be accepted by others, that African will not be a second-class being to other group of people in the world or other races. A Ghanaian will have the ability to do things, and Japanese will love to learn from. American will love to learn from. That is exactly what I expect Ghanaians and Africans to be in a time to come. But the fact is that it cannot come because of a very long period of impact with foreign cultures. And so the crusade and the project must start now. It cannot be another day.
Not at all.
It can only be now.
We don't have
and not only now, but now, this very moment. And so even as we listen to this very program, we must all accept the fact that no matter how you live in the stead of another person, your identity will not be that person, will not be these people. Definitely they will tell you that you do not belong. And until you showcase who you are, that challenges the existence status quo of other group of people, then you are respected based on your uniqueness. And as a result of that, of course, I always tell my students that even being a mulatto, that's the reason they use the word half caste on them. I'm saying this once more, that they use, because when you look at the caste system, the white man is supreme, and the African a monkey down there, and a product between the white man and the monkey is within the middle, so it's a half of the caste system. So yes, he is better than the monkey, but he is not qualified to be the supreme white man up there. So even mulatto is not accepted to be a clean human enough. So don't see yourself that as the dark skin black they are referring to you as a monkey. They will respect you unless you showcase your talent, your potential, your identity, which is very unique to you, and a day will come they will appreciate that. So we must all accept it, especially for the young generation. Our relationship, we are communal, we are not individualistic. All of these cultures should come back to us. Don't feel shy to be in an African dress that showcases who you are. These are the ways we must start now, and the curve will just straighten along the way. That's my last word for you.
So what we are doing here is running a DNA test so that we could really identify ourselves as Ghanaians, as originals. And you've heard it all. I am not here to dilute any other thing that has been presented to us, because I have soaked it in myself. So I just want to encourage you as a Ghanaian that keep being you, keep learning. But as you learn, Don't swap your identity with what you are learning. Keep up with the real you, the real Ghanaian in you. Wear the fugu everywhere, wear the slate and kaba everywhere. When you get to any setting that there is an African restaurant, go in there and enjoy their meals. Stop eating all kinds of exotic food. Make sure you trace your roots and enjoy every bit of it, because being Ghanaian, being an African is so beautiful. Here on the new chapter, we are committed to making sure that we bring an understanding to all the topics. And the most important thing for us is identity. So we are happy to bring to your doorsteps once again the Ghanaian identity, telling you who you are, because we also understand that we are Ghanaians. It's been no other person but your host, Prince Ashon. But with this insight that I got today, you can equally call me Efodojidon. That is my ever name. It's so sweet. I will explain the name to you on the next episode. You can call me Efodojidon, and it has been the new chapter brought to you by the Prince Capital Foundation. Don't leave this video without subscribing. Put us on post notification. Share your comments with us. Make sure you like the video and continue following our conversations. We still have a lot to come, and we say thank you. Then I will end with the L1 in my local language. Akpene miapete. Continue to follow us, and there is more for you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.